capital is repositioning itself. Nations and industries alike are seeking resilience, sustainability, efficiency, and stability. Africa, and indeed Kenya, stands at the center of this transformation. Our strategic location, vibrant private sector, improving a macroeconomic environment, youthful and innovative workforce, and expanding green energy infrastructure continue to strengthen Africa's integration into global value chains and support regional industrialization. Kenya in particular has made significant progress in expanding export processing zones and special economic zones that continue to provide attractive incentives for investors and an enabling environment for business. We have also liberalized our foreign exchange regime, enabling investors to repatriate 100% of their profits while advancing innovative financing that is available for all our investors. Infrastructure fund that we have just established, National Infrastructure Fund. And I was having a conversation with President Macron on how we are going to raise resources in our continent. We have discussed, we will be having a serious meeting tomorrow on matters to do with international financial architecture. While it is okay, and we are having a big conversation on how to make the parenthood institutions more representative, how to enhance the voice of our continent, how to leverage on our shareholding, we also must do something as a region and a continent. And I have asked my good brother to support us as we push for the new Africa financial architecture, which we will be proposing as we go to the G7. We remain a strategic gateway to both regional and continental markets of nearly 1.6 billion people in this continent. We now look ahead to the next phase of this engagement. Our task is clear: to translate the commitments and conversations emerging from this forum into tangible outcomes that deliver measurable impact in trade, investment, infrastructure, innovation, manufacturing, and sustainable development. Our geography, ladies and gentlemen, and our history, our culture, our shared aspirations for inclusive prosperity provide a powerful foundation for deeper and more enduring cooperation under the Africa Forward framework. That partnership has deepened in recent years. And I want to thank my good friend, President Macron, for having the courage to recalibrate the relationship between France and Africa. You know, and I want to tell President Macron that what you have done is the right thing to recalibrate our relationship. You understand very well that this is a continent of tremendous opportunity, resources, and wealth. And what we are doing as leaders in this continent is not to look for aid anymore. It's not to look for loans anymore. We want to have a balanced conversation. We want to have a mutually beneficial conversation. And this conversation is going to be about investment. We have ideas, we have resources, we have assets, we have our human resource, and we are ready to engage in a manner that is beneficial to France and is beneficial to us. We no longer want a relationship that is one-sided. And this is why this France-Africa Summit in Nairobi is different. We are shifting. The reason why it is being held in an Anglophone country is because we want inclusivity. We want those of us who are Anglophone to feel as part of this relationship as those who are Francophone, because we are one continent and we are one people. And we want that relationship to be a relationship of shared responsibility. We too have responsibilities, the same way our partners and friends have responsibilities. So we must appropriate our responsibilities. We must do our part as everybody else does their part. So congratulations, my good friend Macron. We will be going to the G7. And I will be asking my brother, as the leader of the G7 from June this year, to help us position this continent appropriately. We want two very important things. Number one, we want a functioning, representative, fair, international financial architecture. One that recognizes our opportunities, one that does not unfairly judge African economies. We want a fair credit rating mechanism that does not disadvantage our economies. And we will prosecute our case and do so efficiently. Number two, we want to make sure that the global financial architecture respects the voice of 1.4 billion people living in this continent. For far too long, we were part of others. We do not want to be part of others. We are a people, we are nations, and I know that President Macron is going to stand with us. I normally tease him, and I normally tell him, when he speaks, he's the only person in the G7 who speaks the language of Africans. And Mr. President, I say this without fear of any contradiction, because I have engaged with you and I know where you stand. So I want to say to all of you, congratulations, ladies and gentlemen in this room. Now listen, the business people. You guys have a lot of money. You know? You guys are stranded with a lot of money, and we are stranded as in government with a lot of projects. We must find the mechanism that leverages on private sector resources, on pension funds, and on money that's available in our insurance companies to drive programs and projects of transformation in our continent. We have huge resources. I want you to listen to me. We have huge resources in our pensions, running into trillions. We have huge resources with our insurance companies, running into trillions, but they fear to invest in public projects because they think it is risky. Now listen to me. We are developing a mechanism together with the Africa Development Bank, Afrexim Bank, Trade and Development Bank, Africa Finance Corporation, RTD, and I remember discussing this with President Macron yesterday, so that we can have a mechanism that will de-risk our public projects and enable you, private sector, pension funds, and insurance companies to invest in public projects. That is how we are going to grow this continent. Continuing to depend on the resources of others and expecting that they will make them available at concessional rates will be a waiting game in vain. So we need to think That is why in Kenya, we have already established the National Infrastructure Fund. We already have the first $1 billion in the National Infrastructure Fund. And this is a fund that we established 4 months ago. In another few months, maybe a month or two, we will have another $2 billion. And we want to leverage the $3 billion that we are going to put in that fund to raise $30 billion to run our infrastructure programs. That is how transformation is going to be undertaken in this continent. You know, we're not going to be waiting for resources from others. And finally, let me say this. As we work with the private sector, we want the private sector to develop confidence. We now have an opportunity, and I want to talk to the private sector people who are sitting here. I hope my good friend Aliko Dangote is in the room, or right there. We have an infrastructure project for the development of an East African refinery. Dangote tells me that it's going to cost anywhere between $16 billion and $20 billion. That East African facility, East African refinery facility, is an investment that the government of Kenya, the government of Uganda, the government of Tanzania, we have agreed that we want to develop a facility that is going to assist us with our fuel products. We do not want to be held hostage anymore by the Strait of Hormuz. We do not want to be held hostage by wars that are started by other people. We have our own resources here, and we are saying we are going to use our African resources to industrialize our region. And that is why we have asked Aliko Dangote here to do a research. We have the port of Tanga, we have the port of Mombasa, we have the port of Lamu, and the rest in between. Wherever they will find the most suitable location. From our perspective, because the crude pipeline was going to Tanga, we thought that is the best location. But we will not dictate to Aliko Dangote and the investors. But I want to also tell Aliko and all the other guys, you are not going to invest alone. Governments are also going to invest. So that when you make the money, we also make the money. Right? And we are going to invest so that we can de-risk that investment. I am going to use resources from my National Infrastructure Fund to invest in the refinery so that we can share in the profits that come, and we can assist our private sector to de-risk the investments they are going to put in these projects and make those projects viable and make them cost effective. Let me give you another opportunity. We are building a new airport in Nairobi. It's going to cost us around $1.5 billion. There is an opportunity for investment. Are there any business people in this room? Or